Make it abundantly clear, guys. The only way to learn things is experience. Putting yourself in situations where you must figure it out. You can learn everything from YouTube, but it doesn't mean anything if you're not applying it.
Welcome to today's episode of Supernova Podcasts. And today we have a very special person in here. We got Chris Sheeran.
Let's go. Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. It really means a lot to me.
And today we are going to talk about staying ambitious.
Yes.
And that's your motto, right?
That is my motto, stay ambitious.
Woo! For how long have it been your motto?
Since 2017.
17?
Yeah, I'm not good at math, but however many years that is.
Yeah. Oh, and what happened in 2017?
In 2017, we'll get into the details of that, I'm sure, along this talk. But I hit a wall in my life where I realized that I needed to change a lot of things, and it started within. And once I did that discovery, it led me to stay ambitious.
Wow. That's like leaving us with a lot of curiosity right there, actually. Yes. So what did you do before 2017? Like, what have you experienced before that?
A lot, honestly. I was born, so I guess we'll start off there. I was born in New York, in the Bronx, yes.
Yeah.
And I am the son of two parents that had me at 16 and 17 years old.
Yeah, that's young.
Very young. So they never got to live out their dreams. And I noticed that as I was getting older. And so my idea growing up, I also have one younger brother. I wanted to lead by example.
Yeah.
And the best thing that I could do was chase my dreams. And so going all the way back to elementary school, playing on the playground, having a wild imagination was my place to be free and unlock the freedom of creativity.
Oh.
And so I tried to open up that creativity with the ability of, getting a good education. I was very blessed to be in a school district that provided me with a great education. And so by my teenage years, I was editing on a computer with footage that I had taken with a camcorder. And so
you were creative, basically, like, as long as you can remember.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and completely by accident too. Like I was saying, I like to play outside.
Yeah.
And so in my neighborhood, there was a boy down the street, I was 9 years old, who had a camera, a big VHS camera that went over your shoulder. And because it was his, he got to be in front of the camera the whole time. So I got stuck behind the camera.
No way.
Yes, even though I wanted to be in front of the camera, I developed this love for finding a good shot because it was a VHS. And so whatever we recorded, we would stop, run inside, put it into the TV and watch it. It was the coolest thing ever. And so that opened up my eyes to recording things, video recording.
Oh, because you actually saw it with your bare eyes.
Yeah, I did it, and then I watched it myself.
Exactly.
Incredible.
So you actually had the benefit of seeing your own results already as a kid.
Yes, learning and applying right away. It's like, it looks too dark there. Let's go next to a light. Learning those tricks of the trade pretty early. But by the time I was a teenager, I got heavily into skateboarding, and so I got a camcorder. And by that time, we had a Windows computer, and there was Windows Movie Maker. And I learned how to edit my videos on Windows Movie Maker. And in my high school, they had the better machines, Apple machines. And this is before Apple kind of really blew up, before iPhone and all of that. And so there is, the PowerBook and all these kinds of great Mac use tools. And so I tried iMovie, and that was the end of it. It had effects, all of the cool stuff. And I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with video editing and what I realized later in life, storytelling. Storytelling was the number one thing. And so I followed storytelling throughout my life. creatively. Even when I did sales throughout my 20s, it was more of a storytelling connection with the human being on the other side instead of trying to get them to buy something. I always had my own twist on that. And also...
What was your twist in that?
My twist was to be as human as possible. Right?
How are you as human as possible?
I would use things like pattern interruption to get them to really listen to me. You know, things as small as like looking them directly in the eye, listening to what they said, and then bringing it up in conversation would allow them to be like, oh, wow, he's actually listening to me.
Yeah.
And utilizing that as a sales technique made me pretty successful in my 20s, yeah.
For how long did you do sales? Because that's been a big part of your life, right?
It was, yes. I did sales for 12 years.
Oh.
Yeah, I sold cell phones before there were smartphones. So I was fixing flip phones, and slide out keyboard phones and all of that. And then smartphones started to come out, so we transitioned into that. And then the commission started getting really big because a lot more people were starting to get cell phones.
Of course.
And so I ended up on this kind of trail of following the money, always following the money. And it led me to disaster, unfortunately.
Wow. What did you think when you were following the money, basically? Like, when did you start? Like, at what age did you start doing sales, basically?
I was 19.
19.
Yeah.
And then, like, what do you think caused the, like, following money mindset?
That's a great question. Competition within my sales group. It was always, every month it would start over again.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So you get all the way to the top of the mountain. And then it's day 30. It's the last day and you push.
Then you're back to zero.
And you come back to work the next day and it's like it never even happened. You got to start all over again at the base of the mountain. And I loved it for a couple of years. It was so challenging.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned before, it definitely made me crash and burn. So.
Wow. Yeah. Actually, it's very funny. Good. Like, which way did you sell? Like, which type of sales did you do? It was like phone, but was it door knocking? Was it in store? Was it phone?
It was in store.
In store?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I worked in the same store for almost 7 years.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a long time in that one particular store. People came and went, sales reps, managers. I outlasted everybody. They never moved me to another location. And so it became my home. And I think that's why I ended up hitting a wall, because it just,
repetitive.
Extremely repetitive. Yeah.
Oh. Huh. And within the money mindset, like, how did you feel when you were like earning more and more and more, and because you got very successful?
Yes, I did. Yes.
How did you feel like throughout the years?
As they say, you once you hit the highs of the highs, once the pendulum goes one way, it must swing the other way. And so I experienced some incredible highs, and then I hit the rock bottom. And I was 23 years old when I made my first like 80 grand a year. And so I felt like, and this was 2013, so it's a different day and age. So that money means a lot more than it does now.
Of course.
But I had a lot of great things. I had a lot of materialistic things that made me feel so happy. And I started to always go out a lot with coworkers, and found myself at the bar a lot. And one thing led to another, and at the age of 23, I got a DUI.
What's that?
So that means driving under the influence.
Yeah.
So I was pulled over on the road, and the first time you get a DUI, it's not extremely serious here in America. It's the second time that you get it that it gets really serious. So I got a second one when I was 27.
Now it's getting serious.
Yeah, and that was 2017, the second wall that I hit. I got my second DUI at that point. So now I'm $30,000 in debt. I have to pay back to the state. And I'm looking at jail time. And also losing my license and vehicle for 2 years. So a lot was on my plate at 27, but I decided that I wasn't going to let it eat me alive. And I did a lot of soul searching at that point and looked back into my childhood and realized what truly made me happy. Because all of this money that I have right now and this beautiful apartment that I have and the people that are surrounding me, it's not enough. I don't feel fulfilled, right? And so this soul searching led me to finding a lot of videos that I had done when I was a kid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not from the big, not the big thing.
No, unfortunately. The
That would be
skateboarding.
super funny, yeah.
Yeah, the skateboarding times. But also, I know we didn't talk about this, but I also played music. I was in a heavy metal band for a couple of years in my early 20s, and we had tons and tons of videos that we had made. And so I went back and looked at those, and it just completely inspired me in a whole different way as an older man.
Yeah.
And so I took that and was like, okay, what I'm gonna do is create. I don't know what I'm gonna create, but I'm gonna create something. And somehow, some way, the universe answered my question. And my manager came to me one day, and who happened to be my very best friend.
And this is still in the sales
Still in
apartment.
sales.
Wow.
Yep. And his name is Sky. And we always chased our dreams, always. He's a musician. And he came up to me one day as my manager and was like, hey, don't you like shoot video? I was like, no, I haven't done that in a long time. And he's like, well, you should shoot my music video, and I have a couple live shows. You should shoot my live shows. And so I said, okay, sounds good. And I didn't know what I was doing. I hadn't touched a camera since 2008. So the cameras had changed, editing had changed, all of it. And so I had to relearn everything. And that's where YouTube University came into play. But just to wrap up that story, in 2017, when I was 27, I was once again $30,000 in debt, about to lose a lot of stuff in my life. And so I did something that was kind of against a good friend of mine, what he had recommended. He was an accountant at the time. He said, don't pull out of your 401k. Don't do it. And so
What is that?
401k is it's like a piggy bank that you have, work a job, and it puts it's for retirement. And you're supposed to keep that for retirement. But I took $5,000 out and bought my very first camera and gear and lights and microphone and all of that stuff just to shoot these videos.
Wow.
And
really investing in it.
Went fully invested in it. And wouldn't you know, within a couple of months I paid all of that back, and then some, which was great.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I think also just the fact that you, like in this story, you see how you actually really, really, really invest in your dreams. It's not like you didn't even get like a big deal. It's not like, wow, now you're gonna be a videographer. I always have a struggle saying that now. But you actually just pulled out what everybody really secure, basically, to go and achieve this thing that's unsure in a way.
Very unsure, I mean, videography was not really big at that point. On YouTube, there was like vloggers and stuff, but it wasn't like, I mean, you had Gary Vee kind of like yelling at you and telling you to slide in the DMs, and I really learned a lot from that. That's how I got a lot of free work. Where I did videos for small businesses, I did music videos, I did all kinds of videos within the next couple of years while still working a full-time job, and I couldn't drive to work. I had to Uber or get dropped off by my girlfriend then at the time. And so it would be really long days, you know, working a regular job, 8 to 10 hours, get off, have a shoot, and then stay up all night editing the shoot till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
And then back up.
And then back up at 9 a.m., back to work and do it all over again.
Hustling.
Super hustling.
Oh.
But it burned me out, you know? We all experience burnout after a while. But I was saved by something that was so like, I don't know, nature just came in and did its thing, and that was 2020. And where everything came to a screeching halt, even my life. And so I was able to focus more on the content and really start to dissect what I was doing with content and lean more into storytelling than just making the shots look cool or having the cuts really cool or adding cool music. It became more about the story and the message. And so I'm very grateful for that particular time in learning storytelling.
What happened then?
I think it was just the time at home. The time being locked away in 2020 allowed me to take a lot in and then apply.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in remaining a student for life.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's also like YouTube and like Gary Vee, everything that you're telling about, like actually being a student, because I think that's very important. Like most people just go to school to learn, and then you pass the tests and you stop learning because you just needed to learn to do the exam or whatever.
Right.
But you need, like, what you should actually learn from school is the ability to learn itself.
That's it.
And
neuroplasticity, all day, every day, right?
Exactly.
There's neuroreceptors in our brain scientifically, and so you can make them really strong by skill building.
Yeah.
And skill building is the conjunction of learning and applying. It's pretty straightforward. And so those that go to college stay in college.
I love it.
But that's a big debt piece to have looming over your head. And so it wasn't for me. I kind of went the other way.
Have you gone to like school and stuff after? Like no
College for me.
Actually, like I feel most people that's really like high achievers don't go to school. Basically, they don't do like normal education. And I've had plenty of education, but I wouldn't recommend that. Like, it's not necessary. In my case, I did that to learn. Like, what I could in Norway, I'm sorry to say that, but everything, like all education and everything is for free.
Oh, wow.
So we get everything. And I always want to learn also. So in my case, I saw that, okay, I want to learn this, I want to learn that. Like, this is the different packages that I need in my life to achieve my goals. So then it's like I'm very blessed, actually, that could pick from the official education there to actually do like the bachelor degrees and the continuing studies. But like you could also do that just from YouTube. If it wasn't for free for me, I would probably rather do that. I would go to seminars, I would attend different other things, because there's so many other ways to learn. And especially just by applying yourself, like you did already like get a child, basically.
Yeah. Let's make it abundantly clear, guys. The only way to learn things is experience. Putting yourself in situations where you must figure it out. You can learn everything from YouTube, but it doesn't mean anything if you're not applying it.
No, you're not kidding that much, though.
That's true. It kind of tangenting off of education. I'm currently taking acting classes, and so movies was always my thing as a kid. Me and my whole family is, in fact.
Okay, well.
Yeah, we love to sit around the television and watch movies, dinner time. That was like our common ground. And so it takes a lot of confidence to say that you want to be in front of the camera and that you want to act. And now I'm 33 and saying that.
Gee, finally.
I know. I went from behind the camera for the last 6 to 7 years to in front of the camera now. But I guess my overall dream growing up is just to be a creator, an artist, which I have been.
Hey.
And I love it.
And you have basically like tapped into all the different goals that you had since you were a kid.
I have, yeah.
Oh.
Music, filming, acting, exercise like sports, things of that nature, education, poetry, you name it, I've done it.
What do you think is your biggest motivation to stay in that track? Because like you said, that it's like you had all the material things.
Yes.
What made you take the leap?
That is such a good question, because that is what I found at 27. And that is, my personal happiness relies on creating tangible things that I can leave behind Right now you can go on YouTube and watch a video from 2006 when I was 16 of me skateboarding.
Yeah.
Video that I edited and shot myself. And so I love that. That makes me so happy, is to be able to have things that I've created as an artist be tangible and real.
And what do you want to leave back to the world? Like when you're gone, how do you want to be remembered?
I don't know what the formats will be like by the time I'm older, 50, 60, 70. You know, maybe it's like holograms and stuff. And, you know, it's no longer like, you know, TV, little screens on a phone. But I still want, it doesn't matter what the medium is. I just want to continue to tell stories. And that's it.
Storytelling.
Yes.
But you haven't actually told your own story ever.
I have never told my story before, no.
Why?
I lived the, for lack of a better analogy, Bruce Wayne, Batman life. I was one person in public, if you will, and somebody else on my alone time. And that was largely because of the company that I worked for. It was a corporate America company, and I didn't want to lose my job. As you know, at 27, I got in trouble, and I had a lot to pay back.
Yeah.
And so if I lost my job, I wouldn't have been able to get out of that particular situation. So yeah, that's how I ended up where I'm at here. But I guess never telling my story also allowed me to look at the big picture of everything and how I want to tell my story, be able to articulate it and translate it as best as possible for a wide audience to understand the trials and tribulations that I've gone through.
And I think, and also like most people here can hear, of course, like your voice is very grounded. It's very controlled.
Thank you.
Yes, and I just got like some behind the scenes information about how you did that.
Yeah, for sure. That comes from acting class, actually. It's a new endeavor I'm doing. But it's part of my storytelling, right? So not only am I doing storytelling with videos and photography and all of that, but now with my voice. And doing vocal warm-ups and face stretches and exercise and stretching of your body allows you to be a lot more articulate just by doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that you never think about as a normal human being, basically.
Yep.
It's, but it makes so much sense.
And when you're in conversations, you can tell if people do it or if they don't do it. It's really intriguing, really intriguing. Like if I have a conversation with my acting coach, I can tell that he had done some type of warm up, and it's really intriguing to see the difference.
Oh,
yeah.
What do you think is the most powerful thing that you got from the different stages of your life? Like now we've been through the childhood with the filming, we've been through the sales, we've been through the musical like period. Do you still do music?
It is part of my vocal warm up. Yeah, I still scream.
You do?
Yes, of course.
Because you love Finnish music.
I love Finnish rock and roll. Yes, Finland is the rock capital of the world. I do, and English is not their first language, and so it's intriguing to see that all with the muscles inside your body, you can really learn how to control them in a manner that will express your story or your art in different ways. And I love that type of music as well, where it's very heavy metal. It was something that was a big safe place for me growing up in a household that was really rough. It was pretty rough growing up.
How?
Well, I'm the older brother of a younger brother, and we lived in suburban Pennsylvania, so it was farmlands and woods and trees and all of that.
Norway.
Yeah, right. And it was completely different than where I was born, which was the Bronx, New York. And so that new surrounding was different. But also, we were brought up by a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to keep us in that area, because she understood that if she were to work just one job, we would go to inner city, and that's not a place where I wanted to be. My friends were in the area that I lived in. And so she sacrificed a lot, and I'm deeply grateful for all of the sacrifices that she made and continues to make for the family. But that goes without saying that there basically was no parent at home a lot. And so you can only imagine two young teenage boys who kind of don't get along, doing their own thing. I'm one style, my brother's the complete opposite style. And so
How is your brother?
He's more of the what's the best way to put it without being so straightforward? He likes rap. And that kind of stuff. Yeah. So you got the rap, and then you have the rock person, and we just did not mix well together, which is different nowadays. It's totally different, which is great. We found our common ground. But in that household, it was pretty chaotic. It was very violent due to our father, who was always in and out of jail, and it was at times very scary. But things like heavy metal could allow me to escape. And that's what I love so much about music and movies and art in general, is that it was escapism for me. It allowed me to escape the reality that I was being surrounded by in my environment. And so I look back on those things fondly. So anytime I get to hear like a intense heavy metal song, it makes me feel so calm, What do you think is the reason why like heavy metal has that effect on you more than any other music? I think because at the time that it was introduced to me, it was an extremely violent environment at home, and so it kind of matched the intensity, and the way that it sounded, I never heard anything like it before. Never. What was popular at that time, back in my day, it was MTV. You turn on the television in the morning, and there's like all that kind of music, and this music was certainly not on MTV.
Yeah, it's not the typical one.
Yeah, and so I love that the most. Is that
how did you find it though? Like
two ways. So there was a very popular skateboarder by the name of Bam Margera, who was on television, and he was kind of, talking about those bands. And also friends from school. Back in the day, we had to burn CDs, kind of like a mixtape or a playlist nowadays for those that know. And so I was given these CDs with a bunch of different artists on there, and you would never know who was who because, there was no track list. But that's how I got that music. Yeah. And if you wanted to find like a Finnish rock band, you couldn't go to the store and buy the CD. You had to get it imported. That was tough. It was really tough to find certain bands and stuff that were not from America. So all of that type of underground, hard to get, made me really intrigued also. So it was a bunch of different facets that really intrigued me about that art.
So it's like a mix between, I love the way you explained it, actually.
Thank you.
Like about it matched your home situation.
Yes.
And also that, because you could also imagine that would make you have like more anxiety or something like that. But the way that actually calmed you down, that's like, why did you think you had that kind of impact on you?
I think because I was such an energetic child, always outside, always on my skateboard. And so skateboarding taught me how to be a better student. Because I wasn't truly into school. I did good. But I didn't like party or drink or smoke or anything like that as a teenager. I was solely focused on skateboarding. And so to learn a trick, it's fail for days and days and days until you land it once. And it's like, that was the best feeling in the world. And so that heavy metal music was like energy. It was like caffeine or coffee. That kind of like, once again, back in my day, the iPod finally came out. And so instead of carrying my big CD Walkman in my pocket, I was able to take this little iPod and put it in my back pocket and listen to any artist that I wanted to. And so one day I'm feeling like this artist, and then the next day I'm feeling like this artist. And so it was so pivotal for me and my imagination while I was outside to really just get in tune with my skateboarding or the tricks or the physics of what was possible on my skateboard.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool to hear you talking about it. Like, you're the same age, you and Cesar. And,
Stop, dog.
and I'm also like, yeah, we're kind of in the same. But it's so funny, like the way you actually tell about it. It sounds like we're like from a complete different age.
Yeah.
But it, like, of course, we had that, like the Walkman, like the big thing, and
So you know.
everything. Yeah,
You guys know.
definitely. But it's so fun to actually like have you here, because your story started back then.
It did.
It's because like I would never use that thing as a part of my story, because for most people it starts later, but for you it actually started like seriously, like all the way. You combine, and I think, like, I believe that for everybody that your whole story is a part of your story.
Agreed.
For sure.
Agreed.
But the way, like, in your life, it's really like it's been aligned, basically. Like every single happening and situation have actually been evolving into where you are today. So it's
we are the total sum of everything we have ever done.
Absolutely.
Right? And so when I realized that, it was just recently. It was just recently where I realized, oh my gosh, how does my sales actually fit into what I'm doing currently as a content creator, or as an actor, or whatever the case is. And the truth of the fact is that it broke down this shyness that I had as a young fellow. And so shedding that shyness allowed me to be behind the camera and work with people in a manner that they understood what I was asking of them. And all of that came from sales, just being personable and understanding the psychology of people.
And the whole, like, storytelling even.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
you would probably not be acting, I dare to say, if you didn't do sales.
This is true.
Yeah, it takes like a lot of courage, and as an actor, definitely, like, you have to sell yourself. I think, like, I've always been very against being a salesperson, and I've also been, and I am still, and everything. But you're always selling.
Always.
Like, I think you have to actually. I think actually everybody that's been on this podcast have been salespeople.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow.
But
So
I think you need to go through that stage.
you do, because what does it do? It helps you connect with people. And that's what we're all here to do, is to connect with people. You can't change the world if you're sitting alone at home,
Exactly.
right? Behind a keyboard and commenting on somebody's posts on why it's not cool or whatever. And so the best way to do it is to get out and meet with people and connect with people and learn. Just listen. A lot of people don't listen. And a lot of people don't have patience either. You know, are you the type of person to stop at a stop sign when nobody's around? Or do you roll right past it because nobody's around?
Yeah.
It says a lot about your character, you know what I mean? And your
Exactly.
morals. And so that's the way that I look at life.
Wow. When it comes to morals,
Yes.
and because I know, like, discipline is a big thing for you.
It is. Discipline is major for me. Mainly because it creates structure. And structure is so important because it's foundational, right? And foundation, as everybody knows, is super important, because while you're building something, it must be sturdy. And so if your foundation isn't sturdy, everything else that you do after that is going to fall apart.
Wow.
And I learned that the hard way. You know, I built such a cool foundation for myself, and I still found complete emptiness. But now I'm building it differently. I'm building it with intention, with integrity, and with great communication skills. And it's allowing me to see what I didn't see before. And so staying disciplined, once again, kind of means to me checks and balances. Whatever I do, I must look at it, you know? And I think a lot of that comes from video editing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how many more frames should I add or take away before I cut? How does it make the whole thing feel? Because you must look at things from a small perspective, as they call the micro, and the macro. Sometimes we get so fixated on one. Maybe we're always looking at the micro. But when you look at both of them, that allows you to make those changes where you need to make those changes. Yeah.
Oh.
And that to me is discipline.
That's a complete other way than I've been told about discipline ever.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say something like that.
I think a lot of people assume that discipline may be something in the realm of like, I wake up at a certain time every day and I do certain things every day. And I just don't find that to be true personally, because life is ever evolving and our lives are ever evolving. And so what worked for me 6 years ago does not work for me now because I'm not interested in those same things.
Yes.
And discipline to me, again, is just checking and balancing. Making sure as I'm doing what I'm doing, I look back and be like, was that good? No, that wasn't that good. Why wasn't it that good? What should I have done better? Oh, maybe I'll try that next time. And so when it comes up again, I'm disciplined to make the right choice.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, I hope everybody like have heard this so far, because it's like, wow, you have a lot of bullet points.
Thank you.
Really. And I'm so happy that you're like sharing from whole your story. Really, because it's wow.
It's an honor to be here. Are you kidding me? I mean, you guys are the best. You guys are the absolute best. I've only met you guys one time before, but it was like, when I left the party, it was just you two guys. It was like, that was what was on my mind.
Wow.
It was like, I can't believe their energy and just their acceptance, and they listen. And, you know, it's really hard to come across people like that. There's so much fakeness out there, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to navigate your way through that. Like, I'm pretty new to Orlando area. This is only my 5th month being here. And there's a lot of fake people out there.
Yeah.
Or just
that you can feel that.
Oh my gosh, it's pretty interesting, and I get it. A lot maybe travelers too, but I keep to myself a lot as an artist. So
yeah. Oh. Also the balance about that, like keeping to yourself, and you know that you have to do your path, like the real path for you, and then also the fact that you have to communicate with people. You know, so it's 2 different things.
That's a really good topic. The way that I look at it is the times that I go out and connect with people are when I'm doing the things that I love doing. So when I go to acting class, I'm conversing with those actors and the people that are interested in that realm. And when I'm doing videography, it's strictly with clients. And so they're already interested in the stuff that I'm doing. The mixer that I met you guys at, that happened by complete accident. I had lost my keys here in Lake Nona.
No way, that's why?
Yeah, I lost my keys here in Lake Nona, and I had to leave my car here overnight, Uber home back to Kissimmee, and then the next day Uber back here to walk around this entire area and not find my keys. So I decided to go into the leasing office.
Exactly.
And then I met
Natalia, which we're here yesterday.
What?
Yeah.
Everything's so full circle. It's so crazy.
It's crazy.
Wow. Talk about manifestation.
Yes.
Well, I met her, and we exchanged credentials because I told her, bless you, sir, a gesundheit. She had mentioned that she was a musician, and she was looking for somebody to shoot a music video for her. And so I was like, that's what I do. While the security guard is going to get my keys, because they had my keys, which was great. And so one thing led to another, and I came to the mixer, and all those things were connected. You know, they were all connected.
And she doesn't work here anymore. So you wouldn't be able to meet her at any other time.
I was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Intention is everything, though. You know, like I don't party. I don't go out and drink. I don't do any of that stuff because it would put me in an area where it's not going to benefit me on the road that I'm on currently. Yeah.
So you're really designing your life, basically.
Absolutely. Everything is methodical. Everything that I do. Maybe that's the wrong word, intentional.
Intentional.
Yeah, everything I do is very intentional because, as you guys know, in 5 days, I'm gonna be 33. And what that means to me is there's only one certainty in life, only one. Do you know what that certainty is?
You're gonna die.
That's it. It's death. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't scare me, but what it does is put a time
It does, yeah.
on things. And the things that I'm interested in take a long time to work on, a lot of skill building. And so I take every day pretty seriously.
Oof,
Yeah.
I love to hear that.
With intention, at least. I'm not
Yeah.
a serious person. I'm actually a goofball, but
Yeah.
with my intention, I'm very serious about it. Yeah.
But that's beautiful. Wow. Like really to put in, I think that's what it's all about. Like
Yes.
when you're talking about seriosity and everything, it's to put the intention and to don't let life happen to you, basically. You have to create that yourself because life will happen anyway. So if you don't take control, it's like you will lose whatever dreams you had.
I've had it happen to me. I let go of the control on my life and I crashed and burned. I lost a lot of money. I lost my license. I had to pay $30,000 back to the state of Pennsylvania.
That's a lot.
It hurts my soul to say things like that. I might as well have gone to college, you know? Spent money in a different way. But
Glad you didn't though.
yeah, exactly. I'm one of those that likes to touch the stove when it's hot, just so I know it's hot, you know? And so I learn by doing. And so I know what not to do anymore in my 30s, which is great. But that doesn't mean that the universe won't throw you curveballs, because the universe is always trying to throw you off your game and see if you're truly on your game. And even the last couple of weeks for me has been really interesting, and seeing it, like how disciplined I am in what I'm doing.
In which way? Would you share something about that?
I was just laid off last week.
What does that mean?
I wasn't fired,
Yeah.
but they let me go.
Yeah, the nice way of telling you that
Yeah,
you're fired,
yeah.
basically. Wow. From the sales company or from something else?
So I did video production for a mortgage company, and that's how I was able to come to Orlando.
Yeah.
My family has lived here since 2016, and because I worked in cell phone sales, I never got to spend the holidays with my family because I always had to be at the store. And long story short, 2021, I started working with these two entrepreneurs who have a mortgage company. They have a base in Allentown, Pennsylvania, where I came from, and they also have one here in Orlando. And so they would fly me down here to shoot video content for them and then fly me back home.
Yeah.
And when I realized that I was going to quit the sales job and work for them full time, I asked them, I was like, hey, would it be an issue if I moved to Florida to do this job? And they said, that would be great. I was like, okay, cool. So I moved down here so I could be close to family, and they just let me go because everybody knows the housing market is completely upside down. So the first budget they needed to cut was marketing. That was me. So no hard feelings. I love those guys. And I look at it as the universe giving me a new challenge that I'm extremely excited to work on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just need to grab that. And also like to the fact, like, because you had that job and you were very happy about that when we met, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is like sad to hear, but I'm also kind of happy for you.
Thank you.
Actually, to be honest, because it's like when you're in a situation like that, and we are basically very, very much also in that situation. And I think if you're like in that position of not having anything, then the only thing you have is your own like conclusions, your own solutions,
Yes.
and you need to come up with something new, which you wouldn't like if you're comfortable. You're not in the mindset and situation that you will actually evolve in that way. So I strongly believe that this is a period of your life that you will grow like insanely much. Yeah.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. And with everything that you just said. This challenge allows me to bring out everything that I've learned thus far and apply it.
Exactly.
And I mean, I just edited like 3 pieces of content, for some side cash, and I built up a good amount from where I was working. And so it's not like it's detrimental for me to go find another job right away. but it allows me to think about things differently when I go look for whatever my next endeavor is. The only thing that I'm truly focused on right now is remaining a student in my acting classes and doing as best as I can as an actor.
Oh, I think you will also learn a lot in this period about like going your own direction, basically, because that's at least like the feeling that I get from you is definitely that you're also, because I'm an entrepreneur myself, like I've always had that mindset, but I think with that kind of mindset, you're not meant to work for somebody else.
No, certainly not.
Really. And you have all that knowledge and you can lay it out like that in a way that actually, like, you're so conscious about your whole journey yourself. You know, like, what brought you to this point, what you learned, what you gained from everything. So that's like a massive ability, actually. Like, you have so many things right there that you could build from.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It brings me to another statement that I utilize a lot, is that vulnerability is your superpower. When you can look inward and look at the good and the bad, but especially the bad, and make those changes, that will magnetize people to you, right? The right people to you.
Exactly.
And it will give, instead of you searching for options will come to you. And that's what I'm experiencing now, is that options are coming to me instead of me having to go look for a job. But, you know, at the same time, not everything that is given to you is good. So you gotta be conscious of what is good and what is not good either.
And the intention.
The intention,
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Intention and experience. Think about, you know, the best thing that I like to do is think about, if I take this, what does it look like down the road? Before I even step into it.
Wow.
You know, analogy-wise, I don't put 2 feet in the bucket right away. 1 foot first, right? So that way, if it's not good for me, I can take it out, and it's not hard for me to jump out of the bucket. If I go full in, I'm gonna learn the hard way. I've done that too many times, and to me, it's a waste of time because you lose a lot, and it takes a lot to build that back up.
Yeah.
And so being conscious of like what it looks like down the road is extremely important, at least to me.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have taken like many chances also, because I think that's also like what teached you the most. The thing that you like bought a camera from your savings or like stuff like that, to actually really put both feet in and just go full in. I think also that's like a really, really important part of your journey.
Agreed.
So,
And I think that ties into seeing that my parents had me at so young, and they didn't get to follow their dreams. I don't even think they were old enough to really have dreams.
yeah.
And so that conversation is extremely hard for me to have with my parents. You know, what was your dream as a kid?
Exactly.
I don't think they ever developed themselves to that point. They were always in survival mode.
Yeah.
And so while I'm still kind of in survival mode myself, I'm going for the things that I want to go for, because it pains me to see the ones that I love, whether it's family or friends, talk about things that they want to do and not doing anything about it. Like, just do it. Little by little. It doesn't matter if it's like 1% a day. You got to do little by little, you know? And that's going to put you on the track to be like, wow, I really like this. What can I actually do with it?
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know. Can't help everybody.
Yeah. But I think also, like, when you said that, actually many things that you said, but the fact that, like, you can still learn. I really believe in that, like, for everybody, that it's not too late. Like, if you're 33, if you're 50, if you're 70, like, I got a friend, actually, that she got married when she was 80 years old.
Gosh.
And she's living her best life now. And it's crazy. Like, so many things are still possible. And you could still learn. Like, you can learn faster than ever before.
Yep.
And like, when you're put in that situation, like you're basically locking yourself into something, and you think that, like you said, it's hard to get out. Like most people do that with a job. Like you get your education, you become something, like a doctor, you become whatever. Like I think if you identify yourself with your job, that you become your job, you will be stuck because that's everything you see yourself as.
Correct.
But if you actually see yourself as a person that could still evolve, that could still dream, and still like going for whatever you want to do, then like you can go back, you can take a U-turn, you can always learn something new. Because if that takes 5 years, like the education or the whatever takes 5 years to achieve, those 5 years will go anyway.
Yeah.
And 5 years from now, you would just look back at this time and think that, oh, I wish I started. And it's always going to be like that.
It's always going to be like that. Very well said. Because I feel that way sometimes too. Like, oh, I'm in my 30s. I wish that I would have started acting classes in my early 20s.
Exactly.
Or whatever the case is. But that's when it allowed me to look back on my life and my story and be like, well, without sales, I would have never shed that shyness.
Exactly.
You know, so I needed all of that learning experience to get me to this point now. And so everybody's always on their own journey, right? So you're exactly where you're supposed to be in the moment.
100%.
And you are always enough. Always enough. But sometimes we're always listening to the people around us on what we should be doing. And that's not good.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. And I think it's also like life can't get better than right here, right now.
Yeah, the present moment.
Exactly. And what actually it was like a super weird situation that brought me that one quote. And it was like, it was a guy, we were just like many people sleeping in a super small apartment. It was like, if you see it from the outside, it's like super shitty. Everything was just like not the best place to be at the best time. And he started like playing basketball inside there, and it was like, it looked really nasty actually. And he just said that like, oh, life can't get better than right here, right now. And I was like, oh, that's actually true. Like I have so many of my closest friends, and we're all like, it's super tight here, but it's like we're all together, and this is the best place to be. And what brought you here is all your experiences up until today. And from everything that you have done, it couldn't get better than what you've achieved today.
Correct.
But if you wanted to look different, then you have to act different from today on. And but like right now, this is the best place to be.
Present time is the best time. That's why they call it the present, because it's a present from life.
Exactly.
And so when you think too much in the future, what's going to happen is you're not paying attention. You're always thinking, what's going on? And so as an actor, I recently learned that humans operate in two ways, with thought and with heart. And so you can't operate in the present moment with thought, because you're not being present. You have to operate with your heart.
Oh.
And so if you're thinking about the past, which a lot of people do, you're going to crash the car if you're moving forward, because life is momentum. It's always ongoing. And so if you think about the past, you'll get tripped up on that.
Yeah.
And so I love being in the present moment, and I realized that kind of looking back on my life, everything was always about being in fluid motion, being present, to be fully present in flow state, whether you're editing, whether you're skateboarding, trying to land a trick, whether you're on stage performing with your entire band, you have to be in unison. In sales with a person, you must be completely present to achieve the highest level of success in all of these things. It takes a lot of hard work to do that, because I'm learning that with acting right now. It's not like I could just be completely present in a scene and do all of these techniques, but it's skill building, once again. It's something that you can learn by repetition.
I think that I have to say actually because we just figured like your birthday is the same day as my brother.
Yeah, crazy.
Which was and is also a skateboarder.
Yeah.
And he also like I remember because people could say that like it's you're not going anywhere with that and it's like it's not a serious thing. But he was fully invested in that.
Yeah.
And I could definitely recognize what you got from it because of like he came home bleeding every single day. He had bones broken, like everything. And he's still like next day he's on and he's training like 12, 14 hours a day and not doing too good at school. But the fact that you actually like create that consistency and you actually learn and you're not giving up. Like he's like super successful today. And he's young. I'm inspired by him today, to be honest. And it's very cool. And also with the video editing, because I also saw that, like first time I ever saw that was my younger brother. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I didn't think about it. And now I'm thinking back at it, like, wow, that's actually like very skill building.
Oh, it is.
Back there.
Video editing is like a puzzle. And skateboarding to me, with the learning, always learning how to do a trick or do it differently. You can learn a trick, but you don't have it down until you have style added to it. Right?
Also.
So there's like this point where you learn it, but then you put your own sauce on it, and that's true in life too. What separates you as a video director or as an actor or whatever your case is? It's your own personality, your own sauce. We don't just get that. It's something that you have to work extremely hard at. And what I love most about skateboarding that it taught me was to have hard skin, to build a callus. As you mentioned, your brother would always come home with scrapes and bruises and all of that stuff, but it taught him to never give up, ever. And there's a lot of weak-minded individuals out there currently, and most of it is because of the internet, being on our phones, fragmentation of the brain.
We never get exposed, basically.
Exactly, and that creates a lot of impatience. Right? And you see it on the roads too, the way that people drive and they're on their devices or they're speeding past the stop signs and all of that stuff. They're just not present. They're thinking about something. They're worried about something in the future that just happened or in the past or whatever the case is. They're not being present. Nobody likes to just drive anymore. Listen to music or conversate, and that's something that I'm deeply grateful for skateboarding. Skateboarding taught me to be present and have a tough skin, as I like to say.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh. To wrap it up, it's about staying ambitious. And what would your top 3 advices be for staying ambitious? Just in 3 sentences.
Let me think about this before I just give you the keys to the kingdom.
Or what do you think first? What do you think is the most important thing about staying ambitious?
Yeah.
How can it help you?
Okay, so one of the most important things about staying ambitious is 2 things. You must remain curious at all times, because if there's no curiosity, no matter how cool you think it is when you first start, you're going to get to a point where you don't like it no more.
Oh,
right?
Write that down.
Take that note and run with it. And secondly, learn and apply. Because having ambition is one thing. I have tons of friends that want to do things and they're ambitious, but you must apply that ambition to something, right? You must channel it into something. And so I think having those 2 things, curiosity and doing, we'll put it all into one word, doing. Curiosity and doing. Learn and do. Learn and do. That will take you so far to the end of your beautiful life, whenever that may be.
Yeah.
And you'll be, I don't like to use the word happy because we're humans. And so if you're always in a state of happiness, it just doesn't feel real.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Either you haven't had enough experience in life to understand that it's always up and down, up and down. Sometimes there's beauty in the down time.
I think so.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's a lot
Yeah.
to dissect when things are down.
And that's when you grow.
That's exactly when you grow. You come out of the down by looking at what brought you there. It's like, I'm not going to do that again.
Exactly.
You know?
I think in that way, like, I used to, because people tell me, like, you're always happy. Always happy. But I'm not always happy. But now I can say that I'm kind of always positive. Because even if I'm, like, crying, if I'm very down, I got depressed, like, from, like, crazy stuff, like, 1 year ago. And I was still, like, even, like, in the worst times, still positive. And then, like, from viewing all that, because when you're really, really down, that's when you learn the most. That's right. When you grow the most. So if you learn to stay positive, like, knowing that, wow, this is so hard, this is gonna, like, really take me to the next level, what's behind the next corner, basically.
100%. 100%. I think that if you're experiencing, if anybody out there is experiencing a really tough time, or depression for that matter, this is not proper treatment, by the way. Build yourself a routine, right? Don't call it discipline, because it will change down the road.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
The routine, right? And I'm a big believer in science. There's so much science out there now, and it's available at your fingertips to look these things up. But some of the things that I do every single day to keep my spirits up is get sunlight in my eyeballs within the first half hour of waking up. It's extremely good for your brain. I go for a run every morning. You don't have to run, just go for a walk. Do it for 20 to 30 minutes. It's gonna get the heart rate up. It's gonna get the blood flowing, get the joints loose, all of that. Stretch if you can. People will say yoga. I don't care what you do. Just stretch those muscles, right? Once you get, the body itself is mostly muscular. And so when it's all tight, it creates stress, right? And so you can loosen the stress by stretching.
Oh.
I try and go and get a massage as well every week, but that's not on the budget now. I'll give you my Venmo so you can send me some cash. No, just kidding. But trying to take care of yourself is extremely important for the brain. It's not about doing the wrong thing as much as it is doing the right thing. Because, like, some days there are rest days where you can just sit on the couch all day long behind a TV and watch whatever you want, and that's a great recharge. It really is, especially if you've been traveling a lot or exercising a lot. But bottom line is, look at what you're eating, what you're putting in your stomach. The gut is the second brain. If you have a clean gut, you're gonna have a healthy body. And so clean your gut out, and you're gonna experience clarity. And that's what everybody wants, right? They want clarity. Unless you want like 1 million followers, then I don't know how to help you there.
Oh, I felt like you just gave the keys to life, basically, on so many aspects. It's crazy. Like, I'm learning a lot. Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's something that I had to learn in 2020 with all that downtime. I was partnered with somebody that became mysteriously ill, and we went to every doctor that we could for months and months and months. Could not figure out what was going on with her at all. And it's not my place to tell her story, but what I decided to do was figure out what are things that we can do to change this. And that's when I became extremely into learning about diet, exercise, hydration, taking care of yourself, just wellness in general. And that if you want to talk about foundational things to have discipline, that is the most important thing to do. You can follow your dreams all you want, but when you go get McDonald's at the end of the day, you're gonna feel like poop. I don't know if you can.
Yes.
But yeah, you're gonna feel like crap. And so if you know the difference of what you're putting in your body, it's gonna make you feel and go the distance.
Oh, wow. I think we're ending it right there. And wow, I don't know what to say even because wow, it's great. Really, I will watch this episode many times.
Oh my
For my
gosh.
own sake.
Oh wow.
Actually, to be honest.
I'm so thankful to even be here. Okay, tell me how to say it in Norwegian. What's a good phrase that would sound good in Norwegian? That your mind is blown or something like that.
Oh yeah, but mind blown is like Norwegian too. Like we would use that.
You would
but
use that.
Yeah, you can do like the you learned.
Oh, shit, I forgot. For, was it for? For du.
Oh, for du. Yeah, but yeah, okay, cool.
That wasn't the right one.
No, it means something else. You can say tusen takk.
Tusen takk.
Tusen takk. Hey! Tusen takk for meg. It's like thousand thank you for myself.
That's perfect. Tusen takk.
Yes.
Veldig bra.
Veldig bra.
Veldig bra. Bra.
Bra. Veldig bra.
Veldig bra.
Hey, boys getting it. Let's go.
Because language is power and you're always curious. You want to learn. He wanted to learn since he came here, actually. He was like, I need to learn something in Norwegian. I need to learn that. I need to learn that.
Yes.
So everywhere you go, learn.
It keeps the life intriguing, you know? And sometimes we get complacent, right? And getting complacent, we just like get in our own bubble, you know? But we're humans. We're meant to communicate and love each other. So thank you guys so much for having me on today. It really means a lot.
Thank you for coming. Oh, yeah. And you will see a lot more to this man. I'm looking forward to see your acting journey.
Thank you.
And everything else that life has in store for you, actually. Every new path and what you will do with this period right here.
Yes, thank you so much. Supernova experience, everybody.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, that's beautiful.